Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday, January 24th. Margo here. And yeah, I guess I'm coming live for the first time from my new place, which is not complete. There's lots of boxes behind me. We just started moving in yesterday. So this will be my new office. I can maybe even show you around. Maybe that's how it's for this week, I think. Creating space, like literally creating physical space and making space for the things that are important to us. I have wanted, I guess, let's see, let me start maybe farther back. When I was a midwifery student, my desk that I worked at was some wood, just like straight up wood from whatever, the hardware store. They were pretty big pieces, but strapped together underneath, and then floating like on brackets on the wall. So it was a standing desk, and it was about as cheap as you could make a desk. And it totally was functional and fine. I also, for a while, worked off of, we had a crib, a used crib that we never used for my daughter, and put a piece of plywood over the top. That was my desk for a bit too. And then when we moved to Duluth, I got an office in this kind of weird, smelly old building. And it was like literally the size of a walk-in closet. It was like such a tiny little room. So I had like a twin bed. I have a delivery coming. There's Russell. Hi, Russell.
Hello.
Thank you for bringing that to me. So I had this smelly office and it had a twin bed and it had this tiny desk and a chair, and that was it. Maybe a bookcase, maybe a small one. Anyways, it was really small and smelly. So I didn't see clients there, and I also didn't have a lot of clients right when I moved here. But having that physical space out of the house, when we moved here, Celosio was 2. She was 2. I think I got the office when she was like 2.5. Having that physical space, though, really helped in terms of having that dedicated, interruption-free time, even though it was in a weird, smelly office. I only did that for like 6 months and then went back to working from home. And that was around the time I think we had her start going to a really lovely in-home daycare. And so she was going there part-time, almost full-time at some point, but we started part-time, and it was with a really wonderful woman who also was a client of mine. So I knew her really well and trusted her, and that made it feel okay to be sending her somewhere. And she had a lot of fun with these other kids. I never thought I would do daycare. She started doing that when she was around 3. So then I felt like I could actually work at home. That was around the time we started the midwifery school. And I was making many videos every week for the school content, and I would never have been able to do that if I didn't have dedicated space, which at that time was my dining room table, but the space meaning space away from my child. So just telling you a little bit about the evolution here of the spaces and how it reflects both where, if we want to extrapolate, it reflects where you're at, but also where you want to go. And so we moved into this new house in July, and I've been working out of my little basement office. It's like a little cave for the last bunch of months, and it's totally been fine and wonderful. And we had the idea to redo our garage. It's a 2-car garage, and well, it's not anymore. Now it's my office. So I guess without further ado, I'll show you around a little bit. I'm so excited to have like a beautiful, clean space that reflects what I'm wanting in terms of how I want my clients to feel when they're here with me, and also how I want to feel as a midwife and as a woman running a business. So it's really exciting. It feels very grown up, and I'm really excited to see what having this space will then make possible. So I am sitting, so again, there's boxes, things are not all the way put together. Not everything has arrived yet. And this is the first time I've done anything out here. So it's a sneak peek. So you can see behind me. So this was a garage, and now my very, very talented partner has done so much work. He spent like 7 hours grinding these floors to make them pretty and smooth the other day. So that's the main door. People will come in. I need to get some signage. And then this is where I'm going to do prenatals. Here, these cozy chairs. There's more pillows coming. So that's that space. And it connects to my house. Got my door to my house. So I'm going to have some cool birth art on this wall behind me. And then we were just testing out what it'll be like for classes on this half of the room. Got all these really fun chairs. They're orange if you can't tell. Got some floor cushions. We have another bookshelf that we're going to put there that matches this one. There's two. Yeah, and then behind me, I guess, is the, Russell just put that together this morning. Some more storage. And then you can kind of see, again, this isn't quite done. There's a shelf that needs to get fixed over there. My desk and bookshelves. So it's like super spacious and sunny. You can see my van out there. In the summer, we'll be able to see the farmlet that's going to be out this window. It's very exciting. So that's my new office space, which is just feeling, like I said, so grown up. Thank you. Everyone's saying that it looks great. I appreciate it. We are going to be doing a skills workshop, midwifery skills workshop in 3 weeks, something like that, middle of February. And that will be the first time we're going to have a group in here, which will feel really nice. And it's going to be exciting to just have all the supplies. I actually have the supplies in some boxes over there in the corner for the workshop. It's going to be nice to have them where I want them, easily accessible. And then also to have all like the nice little touches like diffusers and essential oils and space to, spread out and practice these skills. So it's really, I keep using the word exciting, which feels sort of like trite or something, but I'm so grateful to have this space and to be able to do more, bigger, cooler things out of it. So I guess that was a theme I wanted to bring up today, and just wanted to pose it to you all. Like, how are you making space in your life for the things that are important to you? And where are you maybe not making enough space? And how could you make more space for those things? I have a few other things I wanted to talk about. Let's see. What else happened this week? This has been the main focus. This, and again, preparing for the skills workshop, which I'm trying to just beef up even more cool exercises and meditations. We always do that, but it's often a little bit off the cuff, and I'm trying to make it, which will give me more freedom to just kind of relax a little bit during the weekend, which can be really an intense thing. So I think there were some of you all out in the world who were hoping to come and couldn't make it this time. It was so my hope is that I can find a way to do it here that feels really good and sustainable. So that's my goal for this time. And then if it ends up feeling that way, I'm sure I will be offering it again from this space. So I guess a thought that I wanted to share that's on my mind for a few weeks is, how do I preface it? There are so many people out there in the world who have said they would like to be birth workers. And we are seeing, I feel like every month I wonder if next month people won't reach out saying they want to be a doula or a midwife. But every month it actually feels like there's more. And it's really, really exciting And there's a lot of like momentum there. And I've had this thought a few times around, like, do we have enough room in this world for more doulas and more midwives? Like I found myself questioning that, even though what I often share is like, yes, we absolutely need more. So I've had moments of doubt, especially when we have like literally hundreds, thousands of people telling us they want to be a doula. Maybe not quite so many, but still many that want to be midwives too. And so something I was thinking about is something that I think we learn and teach in the midwifery herstory course for the midwifery school. And that is that midwives used to be sort of ubiquitous in the community. There used to be so many of them. And they're also, even if there weren't, say 20 in a community that called themselves midwives, there were so many women who were just well-versed in birth, so that no matter what, you could call upon your neighbors, you could call upon your family and friends, and some of them have this knowledge and this experience. And I was just reflecting on how cool it is that we are seeing so many women. Usually it looks like they've either had a really amazing birth themselves, or maybe they had a really not great birth themselves and want to change that for other women. And then there's women who haven't even had kids yet. I was one of those women who just feel like this pull to this work and feel how revolutionary and radical and amazing it could be. So I think it's just really, really cool that we see this kind of resurgent interest. And in the moments when I'm like, are there too many already? And there might be in some places, but I don't actually think that's true. I think it would be very hard to have too many. And I think that the people who are feeling called to it are feeling called to it in a way that reflects, maybe several hundred years ago, what it was like in terms of the numbers of women who were doing this work. And there's so much diversity in how we do this work. So some doulas might go to a couple births a year, and some might go to 30 births a year. Like, I just think it's really interesting how it's paralleling, or could parallel if we give the right support and opportunity and perspective to these women who want to be birth workers, how it's paralleling. It's kind of like a return to something that already was. So I think that's really exciting. And I really wish I could find the numbers, the figures. I couldn't find them. I did a quick search, but there was a figure out there. If somebody knows it, you should totally post it, of how many midwives there were in the US in like the early 1900s. And it was such a fascinating number. I want to say it was like 100,000 or something. I mean, it was like some amazing amount. But I have to try to find that number again. And then they also, in this information I had read, it was a couple years ago, talked about how many then were around a few decades later as midwives became less common in communities. So a resurgence, that's the word that's coming to mind, a resurgence of birth workers, of women who are ready to make these changes and be really inspiring leaders in their communities. And I feel like we're seeing that a little bit here where I live. And I feel like this space is going to really help me mobilize the doulas who were trained through our Birth Warrior project, help them reach new people and bring pregnant women together in these really cool ways. So I'm psyched. So I guess another theme, which this, sort of segues well into, is that we're now in Aquarius, right? Yes, that happened this week. And so I wanted to just read this for you from my journal, which I got thinking that we Moon 2021. I've used these on and off over the years. I feel like their paper takes ink better than some of the other ones I've used. And I have these really special ones from when Celosia was a baby. I would just like jot down a few notes about what we did that day or something funny she said, and I really treasure them. So I was hoping I would be inspired to do that again, but I have, as you can see, that was last week. I have not. But we'll see. There are a few weeks where I took a couple notes. I also asked Russell to please help me with that because I don't feel like that should entirely be my job. So I wanted to read this to you. So the Aquarius time this year is 18th through February 18th. And yeah, I'm going to read it. So this year, there's no limit to what you can dream, and there's strong energy of support to make those dreams reality. This is for Aquarians, I guess. But I think it's interesting to read in terms of like, this is the time of year we're into. Saturn and Jupiter are moving through your sign Aquarius and will create space for you to aspire to new heights of innovative thinking and vision. But there's an impatient streak inside you that could set a trap of self-doubt. I guess the other reason I wanted to read this, I'm a Aquarius rising. I'm a Pisces Aquarius rising. All right. You have a gift for seeing a brighter future, but can procrastinate putting it into practice. Saturn can be a limiting force, but it's also the planet of mastery. Use its influence this year to come up with a plan. The weirder, the better. And then work on upping your optimism game. Visualize your dreams every day. Use affirmations and participate in activities that encourage a feeling of flow like Tai Chi, yoga, or walking meditation. You are being reformed this year. So what form do you want to take? Clown, activist, innovator, political leader? Jupiter is expanding your sense of self to include the whole wild universe, while Saturn is showing you how to take your responsibilities more seriously. Use the winter to sit with the question of who you are ready to be and allow yourself to emerge from the chrysalis when the spring arrives. There will be some obstacles to your creativity and vision in June and October, but view these as reminders that you don't know the full story. More will be revealed this year if you are willing to listen to others and to the messages from the universe. So I don't know if any of that was interesting or helpful to you, but I think that was right on for me. And I often very much, even though I am a Pisces, feel like Aquarius is a place that makes sense for me. Cool. So I also wanted to pull a card again this week and see what that brought up. And there's also a song I wanted to share with you all. And I might read some of the lyrics to you. I'm going to find the YouTube link for it so I can post it. I'm going to paste it here for you. Cool. So this is a song that last week after the Sunday session, I just jotted down a few things that came to me in the hours after as things I wanted to share, and things that I had maybe meant to share last week, but then I got a little distracted. But so one of them was this song, and it's a song that I used to listen to a lot when I was driving around kind of early on as a midwife here in Duluth. The whole album really I'm into, but I especially loved this song, Risk It. And I loved it for myself. Like it felt like I was putting myself out there in this really big, sometimes scary way as a midwife for the first time. And I thought it might also be something you enjoy. So I might just read you the little part. My kids also love this song. It also relates to a book I'm reading, so maybe I'll share about that after. But the start of the song goes like this. Every cell is transforming and returning to original concepts to construct. And then I started to shapeshift, and the animals within me grew tails and talons. I hitched a ride on the back of a whale to the darkest of the ocean and ate off the bottom. And then I traveled dimensions. In the places I rode upon elephants and zebras. So it's like very, I don't know, just like the beginning of it makes me feel like wild and kind of tuned into yeah, that like wild animal part of myself, which is exciting. What else did I want to say about that? He also sings at a certain part that I always love to sing along to, especially in the car. I take my place in the choir, and we're singing new songs of freedom and progress, and we're delivering the babies, which I don't use the word deliver, but we'll throw them a bone. We're delivering the babies, and we're birthing up the next 7 generations, which is like a really good part of the song. And I just really love, again, just the way it makes me feel. And I guess the part that I wanted, I guess I have to tell you about this other part of the song too. This line that is so good. He says, "So if you think you can risk it, what an opportunity to be free of it." So I think that is what I really wanted to share, was just that line and that feeling that line gives me. So to me, what that means is if you're ready to risk it, just let it go. Whatever that thing is, whatever that fear or doubt might be. So I hope that you also enjoy that song. You should totally check it out later, rock out to it. And I would love to hear if that line especially, or any part of it, but if that line brings up anything for you. It so felt to me like the perfect thing to sort of meditate on, especially, like I said, when I was early on midwifing and trying to figure out how to let go of some of that lingering self-doubt. And I know that that's a theme that comes up all the time, both for our doula students and our midwifery students. And I've talked a little bit about how some of that has to be baby steps that we take to feeling confident, getting to a place of confidence. And I also think these other resources and tools can be helpful, like music. So I thought that was a cool thing to share. All right, let's draw a card. Let's see what that brings up. I'm going to pull one again from this deck that Julie got me. Also, if people have questions, I would love to hear them about anything I've talked about, things I haven't talked about. Oh, I was going to share about the book that also made me think of. So I'm listening to a book on Audible called Foxfire, Wolfskin, and Other Stories of Shape-Shifting Women, something like that, by Sharon Blackie, I believe is her name. And so I, especially this last time I was listening to that song, Risk It, I liked that he talks about shape-shifting in that first part, because that's something else I've been thinking about. It's a great book. It's a book of like myth, based on specifically like Northern European mythological traditions. And there's like some funny stories, some that are really powerful, some that are kind of scary. And all in all, I think they're really cool and the kind of thing that I wish I had read more of when I was younger. Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, it is a great book. Okay. I don't know why I feel like I need to shuffle these so much. I don't. I'm not playing Uno. Played Uno yesterday with my daughter. It's hard for me to get into games, but I made myself play 2 rounds. Okay. So I'm going to pull a card that's for all of us who are here in this space today. And I have not worked a ton with this deck yet, so I'm still learning it. Ooh. Interesting. Okay. So you're going to see it backwards, of course, but it's the Lost Love card. How intriguing. Surrender, healing, release. And just read to you from the book. That's how we roll sometimes, Especially till I feel like I get to know the cards better. All right, ready, everyone? It is normal to feel sad when a relationship or friendship ends. This healing card has shown up in your reading today to let you know that everything truly does happen for a reason. Trust and accept that higher forces are at work in your life at the moment, and that your soul is guiding you towards ever greater love. You may not feel it at present, but you are surrounded by an ocean of love. You are loved more than you will ever know. There is little point in searching for answers. Accept things as they are. The truth is what is, yet it is also what was and what will be. That was a hard sentence, Street. Okay. There are no mistakes. Everything you experience has purpose and is meaningful. What goes around comes around. Love is eternal. So the affirmation, which is the part I usually like the best, is all I experience in life has a purpose and is meaningful. Everything is part of a higher plan. Every experience expands my understanding and appreciation of love. Cool. I don't know that brings a whole lot up for me, but maybe that was for someone who's watching. Lost love. Surrender, healing, and release. Cool. They're so pretty. I like the backs of all of them too. I don't know if you saw. Like these pretty hearts. I guess the only thing that really brings up for me is, like I said, I've been getting myself even more organized for this upcoming midwifery skills workshop. And one of the things I was working on is sort of like I've been calling it like a declaration that I will read at the start. And so that's the kind of thing I'm trying to create more of, like just more structure that we can just kind of use to make it flow better, and also just to feel like we have less mental energy we have to tap into during what's already kind of an intense weekend. So I'm trying to come up with some of these like foundational pieces to make it more streamlined. And one of the things I said is this declaration of intention and vision. And I won't read it to you right now because it's not done yet. It's close. One of the parts I will share with you is and this is in context of these women gathering together to learn these midwifery skills. So part of this reads, the question is always, are we acting out of fear or are we acting out of love? Are we connected to the present moment? Are we following our midwifery skills on heart, hands, spirit, from a place of love? Love for ourselves, for each other, for mamas, babies, families, and for this work we call midwifery. So I guess that, I don't know why that necessarily came to mind as I was reading that card, other than, everything comes back to that. Love. And I think that's the way that we move forward towards a better version of midwifery and birth and the world, is making sure everything we do is rooted in that. I guess I could say a little bit more about that, because especially if you haven't been to our workshop, you might be like, huh, what's the deal there? Like, isn't it just learning how to do blood pressure and stuff? But I guess that's what makes our workshop really unique, is that, yes, we are practicing the skills, but we're also practicing like the energy that we bring to the skills. And we're practicing communication, and we're practicing being present with the person we're practicing on. It's kind of like a really super, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a super condensed apprenticeship time. So you're not just learning like the rote skill, because I think Marin says this, any monkey could do that. It's how do we do the skill, in a way that honors the person we're working with, in a way that's grounded, coming from a place of love, instead of like treating a person like a piece of meat. And since we're talking about it, and since this is my Sunday session, and we just kind of talk about whatever, right? Whatever comes out. The inspiration for the workshop, well, there were a couple things. One was that we wanted to offer more things to people who were wanting to become midwives. So, a bunch of years ago, we were focused on parents. We made our How to Have an Indie Birth course, which, now we have the 13 Moons course. But at the time, it was pretty much that. It was the How to Have an Indie Birth course, and we had done a conference or two and realized, especially from those conferences, that people were wanting more. They were wanting to hear more from us about birth work, midwifery, and there weren't a lot of options, especially that we could point people towards when they're like, hey, I want to learn these skills, or hey, I want to go to a midwifery school. Like, what do you all think I should do? And so we did our first skills workshop probably in 2015 or something. Wow, is that true? It was a long time ago. And yeah, so it was something we wanted to be able to offer people, like kind of a quick entry point. And it was before we had the school. And the first couple were good, but they definitely were, there was a big learning curve. And another piece of why we did it was I had gone to one that was mandatory for the birth center that I apprenticed at for a short time. So before I could attend births there, when we got to Utah, I did a week-long skills training that was, like I said, it was required before I started going to births. So I did that for a week and then started going to births, as soon as it was over. And I remember, maybe halfway through the week, just being like, we could do this so much better. we could really make this, we could make something like this, but way more well-rounded, and that included all of those other pieces in conversation about how to do it in a way, again, that feels like it's honoring, like life affirming, as opposed to, all right, now we're going to pretend that this pelvis is a person and we're going to resolve this shoulder dystocia and you just do this, this, and that. Like, it was very black and white and very mechanical, would be a word, and very fear-based in so many ways. And so, yeah, I think it was partway through, I probably texted Marin at the lunch break, like, we have to do a skills workshop. And at that point I wasn't a midwife. So it was more like she needed to do a skills workshop, and I would be there to help since I know, knew her style of practicing. So, so that was kind of the real impetus for why we did it. And the first one was really fun, but then we very quickly realized, wow, there's like a lot that we should have people learn before they come so that we could even make these weekends better, more effective, and just like flow more easily. And so that was around the same time that we made the school, and we made a course for the school called the Skills Workshop Prep Course. And so now that's part of coming to the skills weekend, is that you have to take that course first and complete it. And it gives you a lot of like the foundational background information so that when we actually get together and sit over there in my teaching space, we do a little bit of review and we do a little bit of question and conversation, but then we just get right into the skill. And then, like I said, we also do some grounding and meditation so that we're practicing the skill in the way we want to actually be executing the skill, as opposed to practicing in like a frantic way, when obviously we don't want to be midwifing in a frantic way. So cool. Yeah. And I guess that also, maybe this will be my last thought that I wanted to share, last kind of theme, is around confidence. And this is something, again, we talk about all the time with doulas, midwife students, doula students. And maybe this is a good time. I brought this out here to share too. There's this book. I shared a passage from the other day on Instagram. Freedom, Medicine Words for Your Brave Revolution by Jaya John. And at the bottom it says, if your soul is on fire to serve in a way that scares you to death, and you don't feel worthy, ready, able, and the burning will not leave you alone, congratulations, you have your calling. So I'm working my way through this book. It's amazing. I also thought maybe I could just even flip to a random page and read it for you. But, oh, there's someone coming in my door. But maybe I'll find a passage to read next week. Maybe that's what I'll do. But it's a thing that comes up over and over again. There's all these women who want to be doulas, who want to be midwives, and they're scared, or they don't feel confident, and they have self-doubt. And, there's not like a magical solution for that necessarily. But there are some cool resources, and this book is one of them. And doing the work to really figure out, like, where is that coming from is another piece of it. And there was a cool meditation that someone shared last week. Maybe I'll talk more about it next week when I feel like I could describe it better. But essentially asking yourself, okay, if you're not feeling confident, the question would be, what does confidence feel like? When is there a time in your life that you have felt confident? And then doing some journaling around that. What other words make up that feeling of confidence? So if I feel confident, how else am I feeling? And then really sitting with those feelings and trying to expand upon them in yourself and grow your capacity to hold those feelings that make up confidence for you. And then there was another part that, again, I don't feel like I could totally explain. So maybe next week I'll talk about it, but essentially picturing a circle with those feelings in it, and then literally stepping into the circle as part of like a ritual of like, now I am this, and like seeing how long you can hold that for. Anyways, it was cool. And it's not something that I currently feel like I struggle with, but I feel like that would have been really helpful in this like awkward kind of teenager phase. And some of our second year students have described this over the years. And I think even just a week or two ago when we talked to them, some of them described this funny phase where like they feel like they've learned a lot, and maybe they've done part of an apprenticeship, or maybe they haven't done an apprenticeship yet, but they're at the end of midwifery school and they're not quite sure by the nest and be on their own yet. And I remember that phase being really awkward. And to add to that, I didn't do any kind of certification or licensing. And so there was just sort of this not super ceremonious transition from being a student to, being a midwife out in the world. And I kind of had to like mark my own path and, figure out how to know if I was on the other side of that rite of passage or not. And so that would have maybe been really helpful to me back then. So I'll maybe share some more specifics about that next week. But I'd love to hear from you all. Like, do you struggle with your confidence? Do you struggle with doubt? Do you struggle with any of those things I've talked about? And I know I keep talking about it, but it is on my mind. That's another reason that we had created the skills workshop, and something we've seen be so transformative about it is, creating this, kind of safe, sacred container to learn in and to practice these skills and to grow in your confidence among like-minded women is just so powerful. So I guess that was maybe my closing thought, is just, we can help each other. I mean, confidence isn't a thing that you achieve. And this was something really cool I read last week too. That it's not necessarily like a marker or a milestone. It's a mindset to cultivate. And it's something that we can support each other in cultivating. And we do that through, circles and through sitting with each other, and whether that's in person or online, both of those things can be really powerful. So confidence. I hope you all go listen to that song I posted the link for, because it's super great, I think. I'd love to hear what you think. If you hate it, I'd love to hear what you think, because I think that would be interesting to know, that people maybe don't like it. I don't know. But maybe you love it. Let me know either way. And I think that's it for me today. I feel like I'll be a little bit more structured next week and maybe have some readings and, like I said, that meditation. Now that I've gotten some of this office project nearly completed. So I'll have more space to do that. Sweet. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for hanging out with me while I talked about stuff. That was fun. And I appreciate you being here. And I love questions and ideas. And I guess I was going to say something. Oh, we're going to be releasing a new course this week, the Intro to Midwifery course. I think it's already available on the social platform, but I might be mistaken. So you can check that out, and you'll probably read about it in our newsletter, but I'll drop the link in the chat as well, in case that's helpful for anyone. Or if you know someone perhaps who'd be interested, it will also be an option as a prerequisite for the school. So if you want to do the Indie Birth Midwifery School, you either have to do the Birth Warrior Project or the Intro to Midwifery. You don't have to do both, one or the other. And we're really excited to be offering that out into the world. So if you know someone who could benefit, let them know about it. indiebirth.org/intro to midwifery. Well, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everybody, and watch for some fun stuff coming in the newsletter this week. I'm going to do that this afternoon. And if you have questions, reach out anytime. Bye, everyone.